It hasn't been the best of months for Nintendo and the Switch. It feels like there's a little bit of fatigue with what once made this system super exciting. Mario Tennis Ace has faded. The DLC was not as intriguing or engaging. Super Mario Party, maybe not the party we all hoped we'd be invited to. Nintendo Switch Online, while having some cool elements, not delivering a fully featured 2018 online experience. The Direct, while delivering a lot of exciting announcements for 2019, did not bring much more to this calendar year. So it's really nice to see something super positive for Nintendo, a feel-good piece that they are, in fact, the best of the best when it comes to indies. Gabe, this is something that we've heard for most of the Switch's life cycle, but it's great that we get even more confirmation that they are not only reaching out to indies, that they're not only open to indies, but that they are the best, the easiest to work with, and the platform of choice now for many a developer.
And that would make sense because 6 out of the top 10 games on eShop right now are indies. If you allow me to read them very quickly, we have Undertale, Overcooked Special Edition, Hollow Knight, not the same game, The Way Remastered, and Stardew Valley, all in the top 10. And, that's given the fact that Super Mario Party just came out, and that holds the number 1 spot. Mega Man 11, another big game, holds the number 2. We have Dragon Ball number 5. Regardless, indies are making an impact on Nintendo Switch, and we have to applaud Nintendo for recognizing that this is a platform that's almost perfect for them and capitalizing on it the way they have.
Right, so let's dig into the details here. This comes from Luke Bernard, who is the Chief Creative Officer of the studio Arcade Distillery. They're probably best known on Switch for making Plague Road, which was ported to Switch a while back. Now, he says that he's not able to give tons of details due to NDAs and just professional relationships, but he says that Nintendo is fast with emails, easy to get a hold of. They've done a complete 180. They're pretty much how Sony was years ago. Sony was at the height of the indie scene, and now it's become kind of Nintendo who's like that. Now I know how to work with all of them, but PlayStation isn't as user-friendly. That's the most I'll say. He also mentions that it's the easiest and the best place to be, and I think that's pretty cool that there are times when Nintendo feels like they are backwards or so far behind in their progression, but here is one area where they're really, like he said, at the top. They are at the height of the indie scene now and taking over from Sony. I'm sure not every developer feels this way, but it has been echoed enough, and sales do show that the Switch is a great place to be. The behind the scenes seems just as good.
Absolutely, and I know for me, if I am excited about an indie game coming up and it's available on PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox, I'm probably going to get it on Switch just because then I'm able to play from bed, in my travels, things like that. It goes without saying that the platform itself is perfect because a lot of these indie games don't take the most graphical approach to their design and how they're doing things. They're not super intensive. So a console that isn't super intensive itself makes a perfect home for it. I feel like they've accidentally stumbled onto this indie success, and I'm glad that they did.
Yeah, and I don't know if at Nintendo it is one really good exec who's in charge of this portion of Switch, or if it was just a conscious decision from the entire team to make this a focal point. I sort of wish whoever is doing this stuff and making it easy and making it fun and making it forward-thinking would slip some notes to the online team or slip some notes to a few of the other squads over there. But I did want to also mention that not only are they easy and user-friendly to work with for these developers, but they're also pulling games from other consoles and sometimes from PC in ways that you may not expect. And while not everyone loves indies, and you could argue that, the reason that they are so focused on indies is because there's an absence of, quote, real games, retail titles, it still is very appealing and I think applause-worthy. So we saw this week that Guacamelee surprise dropped on Switch, and they're bringing Guacamelee 2 in December. That's a game that on consoles is only on PS4 and now will be slid over to the Switch side. You've got Civilization 6, which the numbered Civs haven't been on a console since 1999, and now Civ 6 Switch will be the only place you can play that on a console. It's also on PC, of course, and iPad, but for consoles, they're getting that game. We saw earlier Into the Breach, a PC Mac game that now is on Switch. Slay the Spire, a real darling of the Steam Early Access, making its way to Switch next year. And I think that whether you love those individual games, whether you're pumped for Civ 6 or you can't wait to play Slay the Spire, it's cool to see that they have the pull and they have the system in place to attract and bring these things that are not being spoken for on some other platforms.
Supplemental content is important. Yeah, we want huge Nintendo games every single month, but the reality of the matter is that we can't have that on a constant basis. These games take a while to make. So things like this that like carry us forward and keep us playing the Nintendo Switch while these down periods might be happening, they are important. Like playing Hollow Knight on Nintendo Switch, I know was a fantastic experience for a ton of people. I am still very eagerly anticipating, and this conversation might even be like what propels me to finally play Hollow Knight. I have it on Nintendo Switch. I got it on sale, and there's not a lot else going on. I'm still having fun with Mario Party, but it's a full month before we get Pokemon. So something needs to be played on the console if you're an avid fan of it the way that we are. So, yeah, these things kind of fit in perfectly.
They've established a great base within their first year and a half, approaching 2 years of so many top titles that we saw be successful on other platforms, on past platforms, and now also, their own exclusives, things that are great only on Switch. And I would love to see that move more into the bigger development spaces. Civ 6 is an older title, but one that has the notoriety that I'd love to see more done. And it doesn't necessarily have to just come from the PC, although that does seem like a great porting place for the Switch, given the handheld nature and sort of just the way that they have set expectations for what kinds of games will come to this platform. But I'd love to see them merge and move into other genres as well, and maybe start to use that pull in other places. Again, I don't know exactly how things work behind the scenes and who's in charge of indies, but it would be so great to see that mentality and this forward-thinking idea of like, hey, let's get that for the Switch, and let's get that for the Switch, and we need to make sure that we're appealing to developers, and we need to make sure that we have a constant flux of games. You could say that's reactionary behavior, but at some level, it is so positive, and hopefully they can continue to carry that into other elements and other aspects as well.
Yeah, like all other games, indies are going to be hit or miss sometimes, and we're not going to love every single one, but when we do get those gems, Mark of the Ninja Remastered is a fantastic game that was just released this week that I feel everybody should get their hands on. It's $20 on eShop for anyone that's unfamiliar, but, stuff like that. If you think back to the Wii, like, these things never ever happened. They barely had an online infrastructure as it was, much less something to this scale. The Wii U was the Wii U, and maybe not as many people cared, so they couldn't get this many games. But you have so many options, and options is something that you don't have every go-around with Nintendo, right?
Right, and they have made strides there. The question becomes, can they carry those strides over? And I would hope that whatever they decide to do with the next Switch iteration in 2019, and however they hope to court more third parties and whatever plans they have for their calendar year, it's begun to feel a bit, and granted, the two greatest releases are still in the, waiting in the wings in November and December in Pokémon and Smash. It's felt a bit odd and off lately, and I'm hopeful that, again, the positives are there, and it's a fertile ground to do fantastic things. We know Nintendo is going to deliver great titles in 2019, from Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion 3. They've got a lot of good stuff. Fire Emblem, obviously, Yoshi. The indie stuff is going to be there. I don't see this going away. I mean, people in powerful places are saying it's the best place to be. Sales are showing, numbers don't lie. I hope that they're able to implement this in the realm that a lot of gamers do worry about, and maybe make some changes that are unlike Nintendo. I think we've all kind of like settled that, like, oh, the online's never going to be what we want. Oh, some of these updates are never going to come through. Call me a freaking Tinkerbell, but seeing and reading this about the eShop and about the indies and about their ease of communication and their efforts, it gives me hope.
Yeah, same here.
Let us know how you feel in the comments down below, my friends, about Nintendo dominating the indie scene. While the games may not be for everyone, and it's definitely not as fun as getting a Spider-Man PS4 or a Fallout 76, does it give you good vibes going forward, and does it change sort of the way you view the Switch or what Nintendo could do and could create with their new iteration and with 2019 as a new year? Let us know in the comments down below, everybody. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch. It's a fun place to be, and we'd love to have you. So follow us on Twitter and Discord. There are links in the description below. You can stay tuned to all of the updates from not only what happens with Nintendo, but what happens with us as well. For myself and Gabe, though, for now, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day. Switch Force